we begin tonight with the military operation underway right now. Just days after President Trump announced the withdrawal of U.S. troops from a key part of Syria after a phone call with Turkey's president, Turkey is now striking the very U.S. allies, the Kurds, who helped the U.S. fight ISIS. Turkey's military first launching airstrikes on Kurdish targets, and tonight there are reports that civilian targets have been struck as well. Civilians now trying to flee to safer ground. Officials there are warning of a humanitarian catastrophe tonight. And it's those U.S. Kurdish allies who are guarding thousands of ISIS prisoners in Syria. And ABC News learning tonight many have already left their posts. President Trump, just days after talking with Turkey's president, now saying today what Turkey is doing is a bad idea. ABC senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell leading us off tonight from Iraq.
Tonight, war in northern Syria. An all-out Turkish offensive against America's Kurdish allies has begun. Jets bombing Kurdish positions and towns in an operation Turkey's president claims will prevent a terror corridor and bring peace. But the panic on the ground tells a very different tale. The Kurds reporting multiple civilian targets have been struck, killing at least 2. With no notice, locals forced to run for their lives, fleeing artillery fire, cramming into the back of pickup trucks with whatever belongings they can. Officials now warning of a humanitarian disaster.
All right, let's go.
But we've been on the front line with the Kurds, watching their troops beat back ISIS for years, fighting alongside American forces. But facing an invasion, the Kurds tonight are halting their fight against ISIS alongside the US. A US official now telling ABC News some Kurdish fighters guarding ISIS prisoners have now left their posts to reinforce the front line against Turkey. The onslaught's coming just days after President Trump appeared to give the green light, abruptly pulling US forces back from the border after a call with Turkey's President Erdogan. But today, President Trump claiming the United States does not endorse the operation, calling it a bad idea.
Are you concerned that Erdogan will try to wipe out the Kurds?
I will wipe out his economy if that happens. I'm sure that I hope that he will act rationally.
The president pressed too on those ISIS prisoners.
I try to escape and save a friend elsewhere. Well, they're going to be escaping to Europe. That's where they want to go. They want to go back to their homes.
With a ground invasion underway, critics, even in his own party, blasting the president's decision to abandon the United States' Kurdish partners.
If he follows through with this, it'd be the biggest mistake of his presidency.
Congresswoman Liz Cheney saying impossible to understand why Donald Trump is leaving America's allies to be slaughtered and enabling the return of ISIS.
So
ISIS did the biggest favor to Christianity than they think. And I just came like a week ago from recording testimonies with Kurds. And there are huge numbers among Kurds. Do you remember Kobani? Syria. Kobani is one of the most radical cities that belongs to Kurds. Kurds usually they are not very radical, but Kobani was the most radical place in the Kurdish population. ISIS surrounded that place. Just to give you an example, they surrounded that place for months. I think it was on the news all the time, and they destroyed the whole city almost. And the Kurdish ladies were defending that place. I have known families that came to the war. I just met a family of 14 people, all of them together from that city. And when I asked the Kurds, I said, what made you change? They said, what ISIS did opened our eyes.
The bombing began in the afternoon. Smoke rising over border towns inside Syria. Buildings on fire as Turkish jets began striking America's allies, the Kurds of Syria, after President Trump ordered U.S. troops to step aside, essentially giving Turkey the go-ahead. The Turkish president announcing the operation on Twitter, saying it was to neutralize terror threats. But a Kurdish military spokesman says Turkey is targeting civilian areas, and there is a huge panic among people in the region. This video showing people desperately trying to evacuate. President Trump has faced intense backlash for pulling back U.S. troops from northern Syria. In response, threatening to totally destroy and obliterate the economy of Turkey if Turkey goes too far against the Kurds. Today, the president tweeting, "We are slowly and carefully bringing our great soldiers and military home."
We are speaking to both sides, and we're seeing what can be made out of a situation. But we have no soldiers in the area. You know, we're getting out of the endless wars.
But that has not stopped condemnations from some of President Trump's Republican allies.
If we pull out, the Kurds are in a world of hurt, and ISIS comes back, and President Trump will own it.
Many of the 1,000 U.S. troops still in Syria feel horribly about what's going on, with orders not to help the Kurds who fought shoulder to shoulder with them against ISIS, losing 11,000 of their men and women. And tonight there are fears about these detention camps holding tens of thousands of ISIS fighters and supporters. With Kurdish troops rushing to the front lines, there are fewer guards at the camps and fears of a prison break.
Steve?
These ISIS fighters escape and pose a threat elsewhere.
Well, they're going to be escaping to Europe. That's where they want to go.
U.S. commanders tell NBC News that the Turkish assault is bigger than they expected, and that they feel the United States is betraying its ally, breaking a sacred trust forged in battle.
They're fighting for their land, just so you understand. They're fighting for their land. And as somebody wrote in a very, very powerful article today, they didn't help us in the Second World War. They didn't help us with Normandy, as an example. They mentioned names of different battles. They were there, but they're there to help us with their land. And that's a different thing. In addition to that, we have spent tremendous amounts of money on helping the Kurds in terms of ammunition, in terms of weapons, in terms of money, in terms of pay. With all of that being said, we like the Kurds. They've been, again, fighting for so long. They've been fighting for so many. This is like Israel and the Palestinians, okay? There's only one difference. Maybe the hatred's even greater. Is that possible? Maybe not. But this is a very, very serious hatred that's come over many years. I campaigned on ending the endless wars. We're all over the world fighting wars. Half the places, nobody even knows what they're doing over there. And I feel that we are doing the right thing, and I think the country feels that too. We've had tremendous support outside of the little Washington area, and even in Washington, people are saying you're doing the right thing.